You're watching CHCO-TV's gavel-to-gavel coverage of the September 15th, 2025 regular council meeting for the town of St. Andrews. I'm Florence Mitchell. Today's meeting begins with a presentation by Hollis Bartlett, Chief Executive Officer of the Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission, on the draft 2026 operating and capital budget. Under Finance and Administration, Councillor Heenan will move that Council grants leave for the first reading of Bylaw 25-04 regulating the composition of Council, and the Council holds a public consultation meeting on October 6 at 6:15 p.m. Under Public Works and Public Safety, Councillors Bennett and Neal will move that Council approves the application for the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program for 2028 to 2030, detailing road work to be made to Bayview Drive and Mowat Drive. Councillors Bennett and Neal will also move that Council either award tender TSA 2024-03 for the Market Wharf and Market Square refurbishment program to Caldwell and Ross Limited for $9,459,210 HST inclusive, or to cancel the tender as all bids were over budget. Under Economic Development, Business and Culture, Councillor Weir will move that Council approves the use of Market Square and associated requests from Friday, September 19th to Sunday, September 21st for the 4th annual Oktoberfest celebrations by the St. Andrews Brewing Company. Councillor Weir will also move that Council provides a letter of support for the Ministers Island documentary media project, highlighting the past and current significance that Ministers Island is for the community. Now let's join Council in the dining room at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex in St. Andrews.
We're going to start the Town of St. Andrews regular council meeting on Monday, September the 15th, 2025 at 6:30 p.m. It's close enough. At the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex. We're not in the council chambers, we're upstairs because it's so crowded down there when we have all these people in there, so it's nice for you to have a little more room and for us to have a little more room. Okay, so recording of attendance. We have all present, and we have 2 online, Councillors Bennett and Councillor Blanchard. They're unable to be here in person, but they are online, so we have a full contingency of councillors. The land recognition, we want to welcome you all. We recognize that we are on the unceded and traditional territories of the Beskoto-Makati people who have never surrendered their land at all. For the approval of the agenda, I need a mover, Councillor Gumichel, and a seconder, Councillor Deputy Mayor Neal. Any errors or omission at this point in time? Don't think so. All those in favor say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. So our agenda will go as written. Disclosure of a conflict of interest. Do we have anybody who has a conflict of interest tonight? I don't think so. So there are none. Presentations. We're going to start with our presentation, which is Hollis Bartlett, who is the CEO of Southwest New Brunswick Service Commission. He's going to present us with the draft 2026 operating and capital budget for the Regional Service Commission. So, Mr. Bartlett, please proceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Normally, Regional Service Commission, turn it up, like that? Good? All right. I was going to say, normally Regional Service Commission budgets are fairly mundane and boring, so I'm really happy that everybody came out to see me tonight. So this, as Your Worship alluded to, this is our draft budget. This has not been adopted yet. The anticipated vote is on October 23rd for this, and right now we are doing a public presentation of the budget for the Regional Service Commission. So, Council, if you turn to the first page of that handout I gave you. This is an overall of the budget. and you will see a comparison of 2026's proposed budget compared to 2025's approved budget. And if I'm not going to go through every word here. I understand your time is limited here tonight, so I'll be as quick as I can. But you'll see in totality, there's a little bit of an increase in the budget of close to $200,000 at the bottom. But if you look at the top there, we're under solid waste services. For 2026, we're projecting $5,056,000, whereas the 25 budget was $4,635,000. And I'll get into why that is. That's not exactly because of increased cost. It's just how we finance. On your second page, you'll see all the expenditures. And the only reason that page is there is to show you that everything matches, that this is a balanced budget. We don't budget for deficits or surpluses. We often do end up with a surplus, but it's nothing we actually budget for. So on the next page, one of the lines of business that we have to have is our corporate services, and corporate services includes all of the things that are common across all of the services, including me, our financial team, and the rest of the resources that we have there. I just want to point out that it says CEO's office, and the budget for 2026 is $427,000. That is not my salary. That is several people, just so we're clear. But I did want to highlight there that this includes a new position, which is our communications coordinator. And I will get into a little bit later here why that's important. And the other thing we've done for 2026 is we've changed the allocations around significantly. This is a better reflection of where these resources get allocated to. So it's a more true representation of where the work is being done by the resources in corporate. So cooperative and regional has gone up significantly. That's a better representation. Local planning is the same. Regional tourism promotion, which I'm going to get into a little later, is higher. The solid waste services are a little higher. And we've taken out quite a bit from a couple of the things like the recreation, sport, culture, infrastructure, support, and development. The reason for that is this is now literally an accounting exercise. It's literally writing checks a few times a year. So it didn't make sense to have a big corporate allocation there because we just are not spending the resources there. So this makes more sense. So next page. Quickly go through each one of the budgets that we have. We have 9. So solid waste services are our biggest, obviously. And I have our budgets for 2026 compared to 2025. The tipping fee is proposed to go up by $3 from $95 to $98 a ton. And this is to keep up with inflation, to make sure that we're not dipping into reserves and we're paying the true cost of the service. You'll see at the bottom there, the difference is $5,056,000 compared to $4,635,000. But the reason for that is, one thing I will point out on that page there is the surplus of the second previous year for 2026 is going to be $718,000. This year I didn't have much to work with. We only had $294,000. So that's an increase in the revenues right there. And on the second page, or on the next page, sorry, under the expenditures, you'll see the expenditures really don't change very much in the actual operation of the landfill or solid waste services. But the one thing that I've highlighted on that page is our capital expenditures from operations are going to go from $534,000 to $1,003,000. And the reason, or $1,003,000, I should say. So we are going to be paying all of our capital out of the operations next year. This year we had to go into reserves because we had a major purchase this year, the compactor, which is $1.2 million. But next year there is no plan to dip into any reserves for solid waste. And that's the reason for the increase in the budget. Not because the expenses are higher, not because we're spending more on actual operations, it's just how we're accounting for it. Sorry, I meant to flip back to the revenue page there. You'll see I have an estimated amount for St. Andrews. The estimated amount is $83,300. Our 2025 budget was $94,050. That estimated is based on garbage to date, year-to-date garbage. So we're seeing less waste from St. Andrews. Now that is a complete estimate, and it all completely depends on how much you bring to us across the scale. Okay, so if we can flip back over to planning. Planning service isn't really changing very much. The costs are going up a little bit, and this is really just from inflation. The St. Andrews amount is going to be $201,201. The 25 budget was $189,830. The one thing that we did do was for 2026, I have an operating reserve, and that operating reserve was created out of unplanned revenue. So when I created the budget a couple of years ago, I could not budget for Graham and Ann coming on stream. So they came on stream that year, and that gave us unplanned revenue, so we put that in a reserve. And so we applied a little bit of this year so there wouldn't be as much of an increase in the planning service for 2026. Next page is going to be cooperative and regional planning. And for those that are interested, cooperative and regional planning means all the work done by our planning team that isn't specific to any one municipality. So a lot of times we do regional planning or for different things, and there's not a lot of activity there. The reason that budget is so much higher is because the corporate allocation. Those changes I alluded to earlier, corporate allocation has gone from $16,000 to $50,000 for 2026. So the St. Andrews amount for 2026 is going to be $8,570, and the 25 budget was $2,472. So, next page. Regional tourism promotion. There's a significant change in this service for 2026. Indeed, that change is actually occurring right now. The budget for regional tourism promotion in 2025 was $525,000. For 2026, this is going to $213,000. And you will see that what I've done here is I've applied RSSF, and for those that aren't aware, that stands for Regional Services Support Fund. This is a provincial fund to support regional service commissions in the new mandated services. We have to match it by 50%. So I came as close as I could. I mean, fees for members are going to be $106,932, and the RSSF I've got $106,115. So I came as close as I could to matching that. The other big change you're going to see here is personnel has gone to zero. So the reason for that is we no longer have a director of tourism promotion. The allocation from corporate services is up, and that's because that communications person I alluded to earlier is going to be spending quite a bit of time in tourism. This is really going to be a lot of what they do is in the tourism piece. I've also changed the amount that we are spending on advertising professional services. So that's taken about $200,000 out of that budget. So $50,000 a piece, where it used to be $148 and $153. Reason is, the first couple of years of tourism promotion were a lot of heavy lifting was done. So branding, website development, there's a lot of stuff back and forth. But we've come to the end of the initial heavy amount of work, and through a lot of discussion with our board of directors and what was appropriate for this region, and taking it in a different direction, we felt we could do this in a different way. So I have a meeting scheduled with actually the tourism committee next week to discuss going forward, and so we're going to work out the actual strategy. It's a change in our strategy, but I think it's the right move. So like I said, the budget, the St. Andrews amount for 2026 is going to be $19,596. In 2025, that amount was $35,672. I would also point out just before we leave the tourism promotion page, the 25 Regional Services Support Fund amount was $249,000, whereas 2026 is $106,000. That means that rest of that money is applicable for the rest of the services, which you're about to see here. In case you're wondering, we get $630,000 a year. That's what we get. So in regional economic development, the budget is slightly higher overall for in terms of what we're doing there, but part of that is because we are hiring a zonal immigration partnership resource. And this is a fully funded position from the federal government. So no additional funding was required for this, and this position in a nutshell basically works with Multicultural Association, but also picks up where they leave off, and becomes a navigator for newcomers to the region. So the idea there is to create better success in retention of newcomers. So otherwise, most of the services are the same. We've cut a little bit of professional services and advertising. However, I was able to apply considerably more RSSF, so the total fees from members is going from $56,000 and change to $10,000 in 2026. And the St. Andrews amount is going to be $1,963, and 2025 that was $10,162. So on the next page, community development, again, same benefit from this RSSF surplus, I'll call it, from tourism. Not a lot is changing in community development in terms of the service that is being provided. A lot of you may know Ray out there. He's administering a lot of grants, a lot of, I forget the name of the Community Action Plan grants, which are open now, by the way, for application. But beyond that, he works pretty closely with Horizon Health and their community development team, and he works with various other nonprofits and NGOs. We've done some training. A lot of really, really good work in community development. I suggest everybody subscribe to his newsletter if you can. In 2026, the fees I require from members total is going to be $3,908. In 2025, it was $61,654. So that service is now going to be over 99% funded by government and less than 1% funded by fees from members. Really good value for money. The St. Andrews amount is $561 for 2026, and 2025 is going to be $8,706. On the next page, you have regional transportation. A little bit of explanation for this one. So the budget has gone way, way down, of course. Part of the transportation budget is funds that we receive from ESIC come in, and then they go back out to Dial-A-Ride, so that's included within here. But last year, we had applied for a grant through the Rural Transit Support Fund. Yes, RTSF, right. We were unsuccessful, but part of that deal was that we had to have some skin in the game there. So we had to have a 10% or 20% of our own money in there, and then we could leverage this fund. We were unsuccessful with that first application. We have a second application out. If we are unsuccessful with that, last year we heard around the end of September, so I'm hoping it's going to be soon. I don't know yet. But by the end of this year, we have to figure out what to do with that money that we are collecting in 2025. So a couple of options are going to be put it in a reserve fund and figure it out later, spend it on something else completely, rebate it back to members. So this will be a discussion the board's going to have kind of for the rest of this year to figure out what to do with that transportation money if we're not successful with our application. If we are successful with our application, we have to have different conversations. However, for 2026, that means that I only need to collect $3,177 from members as opposed to $84,000 that we did in 2025. So the 2026 amount for St. Andrews is $456. In 2025, that was $11,920. The next page is our Public Safety Committee. Now, the Public Safety Committee has very minimal cost, but one of the things that's included in here is our speed sign that we own that's available to any member council that wants to use it. There's a little bit of training involved, but if you're interested in having it in St. Andrews for any length of time, let us know. So the fees I'm going to need from members is going to be $178. St. Andrews slice of that is $26 for 2026. In 2025, it was $1,213. The difference is that difference in allocation in corporate services. We really don't need that many resources allocated to this, so it just didn't make sense. Wasn't a good picture of reality. And on the second to last page is the recreation cost sharing piece. Now, in 2026, we're in kind of a unique situation where we're going to be giving back more money than we're collecting as a whole. Reason is we had a surplus, previous second year surplus from a couple of years ago, and that was when we stopped our recreation services outside of the recreation cost sharing. So that comes into play for 2026. We, of course, cut the allocation way down because we're literally just writing checks for this. It's not a lot of effort required. So in 2026, the St. Andrews amount, the billing amount is $108,356. The rebate that you get is $136,340. So your net rebate is going to be $27,984. In 25, that was $111,990. Your rebate was $125,053. So your net rebate was $13,000. So you're going to go up in your rebate by $14,000 net. And the final page is just a summary of everything I just went through. So you can see a comparison of the member fees required for St. Andrews in 2026 compared to 2025. And again, that solid waste is just an estimate. So you start bringing us tons of garbage, it's going to cost you more, just so you know. But overall, the RSC bill to St. Andrews is going to be a little $53,000 less than it was in 2025. And that'd be for everything. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bartlett. Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Bartlett? Oh, Councillor Harland. Sorry.
Thanks, Mr. Bartlett. We always appreciate you coming over to St. Andrews to share the budget with us. In preparation for tonight's meeting, I did take a look at just reviewed the regional strategy to see where it lines up in terms of some of the budget decisions. And I'm still a little perplexed in terms of how the Regional Service Commission, so in this regional strategy document, there are some very high-level goals. And it says in the document that senior staff will provide the board with strategy updates. So I'm assuming that that happens at the Regional Service Commission meetings. But I looked in the annual report, thank you, in the annual report. And I don't really see an update in terms of successes or sort of a report card on the strategic goals that have been set. And I can't find it anywhere else on the website. So I'm just wondering, I guess two questions. Is there a process by which, because this was a 5-year plan, and we're in year 3 of a 5-year plan. So is there a way for us as one of the councils, and more importantly for our residents, to understand where you're at in meeting these goals? And is there a way for us to see where we fit? So I understand it from a budget perspective. You always provide us a very clear budget document. You help us understand some of the savings that we're going to be acquiring. But I don't see, I can see it definitely with our planners. So with the planning department, the two planners that work with this municipality, we have a great relationship with them, and every month, as part of the staff reporting, we know exactly what has happened in the planning department. We know how many applications have been made, what they've been working on, what they have accomplished in terms of the municipal plan draft, etc. It's very comprehensive. I do not know that for any other department. So I'm just wondering, am I missing something? Is there something on the news, on the website that I should be going to?
This is a great question.
Thank you.
This is a great question because there's a couple of things. We and the provincial government are still working out what KPIs and metrics to use for all the new services. It's still something we're going back and forth with. However, in the next annual report, that needs to be reported much more solidly. I agree with that. We need a good accounting of where the RSS money, one more time, RSSF money goes and what it was used for. But second of all, one of the reasons for this new communications person is my intention is to have a monthly newsletter for councils about everything that's happening at the Regional Service Commission and start there. We need to be better at communicating our successes because there's a lot of wins. And it's not me, it's the staff. And there's a lot of really hardworking, really good staff at the RSC. And I keep telling them, we need to take credit for this stuff you're doing. And they're like, yeah, I just want to get it done. But no, the public need to know all the stuff we're doing. And so that's one of the other motivations for this communications person. So you will be seeing increased communications from the RSC about all the other services, not just planning.
Mayor?
Yes.
Can I? So that's wonderful. I'm really glad to hear that. But I guess when I hear communications, I'm also hoping that there's a mechanism in there for it to be two-way, because that's been another struggle in terms of identifying what our priorities are as a municipality and any of the other municipalities, how that gets communicated in terms of the in terms of the work plans for each of the departments. So I hope that this new communications position will ensure that there's more direct communication both ways.
Sure. So your like the input that I get, the way it works is I have a board of directors, and which is all the mayors, and then they direct me, and then I direct staff. Right, I'm kind of the middle of that funnel. So on your end, it's you communicating with your mayor, who is our board, who is our director on our board. When they're and I have said this countless meetings at RSC. When the board of directors meets, I remind them all that they are there because they are the mayor, but they are not there as the mayor. And they have to speak with a regional voice, sometimes to the detriment of their own community. And that's actually legislation, that's actually their fiduciary responsibility. And they actually carry a heavier weight in making decision-making at the RSC personally than they do here, because you're afforded protections here under Community Planning Act that I don't have under the Regional Service Delivery Act, that they don't have personally. So it is a little bit different of a dynamic. However, it's a weird relationship, and we can't do it in a vacuum, and we can't do it without council either. So yeah, it's a delicate balancing act, and I'm always open to ideas, but we can't have we can't be overloaded so much that we don't actually get anything done. So that's why you hire people to do things. That's why I have directors, and that's why I don't know absolutely everything that every director does every day. It would be impossible. I've got 9 lines of business, and I don't know what every employee does every day. It would be nice if I could, but that's just not a reality. But my only other answer to that is my door's always open. So I'm always available. You can always send me an email or you can call me.
I appreciate that. Can I be afforded one more question? Thank you. So you indicated that the community development position is now being fully funded by the province. Is that what I heard you say?
Over 99%.
99, that's pretty good. But herein lies an issue in terms of this balancing act. So does that community developer, where does his or her priorities rest? Are they then going to be required to address provincial priorities, or do we still get to have an input in terms of the priorities for our municipality? I mean, I see it's a gift, but it's a gift, I'm sure, that comes with strings.
It absolutely is. So I signed a contract with Economic Social Inclusion Corporation, which provides a big amount of funding for our community development. And under that, they have the new OPT4. I don't know if any of you have seen that new Overcoming Poverty Together 4 document that they put out. But that is their kind of strategic plan, and that's getting implemented through our community development team. It's the same thing in economic development. I get a considerable amount of funding, 98.5% funded by the province for 2026. But I have a contract with Post-Secondary Education and Labor, which provides a significant amount of money to carry that mandate, and there's specific KPIs and things we have to deliver on there. So, yes, there's lots of strings attached in every department.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Councillor Harland. Anybody else from council? Seeing none, I thank you, Mr. Bartlett, for coming, and as always, thank you for sharing the budget. I was privy, as you say, being the acting mayor, so it's nice that the council has a chance for input. If there are further questions, we can just email you, right? Correct?
Absolutely, yep.
All right, thank you very much for
Thank
coming,
you.
and enjoy your evening the rest of the night. Unless you want to stay for the meeting. Thank you very much. Okay, the next is the approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. So we just have the minutes of the regular meeting of council. Just gotta find my page, sorry. For September the 2nd, 2025, 2026 that should be. Right? No, 2025, that's right, I'm going a year ahead. 6:30 p.m. at the W.C. O'Neill Arena Complex in the Chambers. Any errors or, I need a mover, please. Okay, Councillor Harland, and a seconder, Councillor Heenan. Okay, any discussion on the minutes, errors or omissions? There being none, then we'll just whiz through them. All those in favor of carrying those minutes, say aye. Contrary minded? Carried. All right, moving right along. So, communications. We got an Explore St. Andrews monthly update in our packets. We also got a lot of letters pro and against the wharf. And I thank the people of the municipality of St. Andrews for sending those in. We are very glad to have that information sent in to us, so thank you very much. And that's that for communications, correct, Mr. Spear? Thank you, Mr. Spear. So communications are done. Staff report, Mr. Spear, that's up to you.
No, Your Worship, there's just the one. We usually do the rest of the staff reports at the first of the month. So jump to page 23.
Introduction and consideration of passing of bylaws and motions. So number one, the Finance and Administration Committee, and that would be you, Councillor Heenan.
Thank you, Your Worship. Your Worship, Council, ladies and gentlemen, CHCO. This is reference number FA 250937, Composition of Council Bylaw. Prior to local governance reform in January of 2023, Town Council comprised of the Mayor and 6 councillors. After reform, 3 new councillors were added from the wards of Bayside and Shamcook, bringing the total number of councillors to 9. In spring of this year, Council agreed in principle to reduce the number of councillors to 6. 1 each for Bayside and Shamcook, plus 4 for the ward of St. Andrews, and created a draft bylaw. The Department of Environment and Local Government have reviewed our reasoning behind the reduction and will allow Council to complete this recomposition, if so choose, to be ready for the May 2026 election. The final reading needs to take place before October the 25th of 2026. 2025. The action and motion is that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews grants leave for the first reading of Bylaw 25-04, a bylaw regulating the composition of council, and I so move it, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. We need a seconder. Councillor Deputy Mayor Neal has seconded. Any further discussion, Council? Yes, Mr. Spear?
As discussed last week, I think we'll have a public consultation session on October the 6th at 6:15.
Okay, October the 6th at 6:15.
As always, the public can write in at any time between then and now, but we'll have a public area. It's only 15 minutes. Usually it doesn't draw too much attention, but right now the plan is for then, so before our first meeting on October.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. I also forgot to say that if you have any questions for the town, it's clerk@townofstandrews.ca, and you can submit to that email, and we will receive it. Thank you very much. So with that being done, we will now go to the question. All those in favor, say aye. Contrary minded? None. Carried. Thank you very much. And the next one is Councillor Neal, Deputy Mayor Neal.
Excuse me, Worship.
Yes?
Point of order, you've got to read the title.
Was there a second motion?
No,
I missed
you've got that all right. It's just you got to read the title of the bylaw to go through first reading.
Oh, I'm sorry. New at this job. Hold on. Find my page.
Page 24.
Page what? 24. 7. 25. 24. Thank you. So, 23. I have 23, 25. Thank you very much. So, bylaw number 25-04, a bylaw regulating the composition of the Council of the Town of St. Andrews, be it enacted that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews, under the authority vested in it by the Local Governance Acts and amendments thereto, hereby makes and enacts this bylaw as follows. And it's number 1, the council composition; number 2, the repeal provision. So this is read for the first time the 15th day of September 2025. Thank you very much. Oh, I just wrote in your paper. Thank you. And now we will go to the Public Works and Public Safety Committee. Councillor Bennett or Councillor Neal? It's written here for Councillor Neal.
Thank you, Your Worship. This is reference number PWPS 250912. The subject is the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership 2028 to 2030. And the background reads that throughout the province of New Brunswick, there are provincially owned roads that municipal work crews maintain. We receive payments for routine maintenance based on the surface areas of the road. For capital improvements, the PMHP is a program where councils can make requests to receive funding to refurbish the existing highways which are tendered at the local level. So the province-wide demands for this program far exceeds its budget, so the town of St. Andrews has had only sporadic success over the last decade. So the motion before us reads that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews approves the following application for the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership 2028 to 2030 as follows. 2028 Bayview Drive, the second phase, for a total of $512,000. 2028 Bayview Drive from Reed Avenue to Cedar Lane for the amount of $537,000. In 2029 Bayview Drive, Cedar Lane to Cornelia Street in the amount of $796,000. And in 2030, Mowat Drive, Reed Avenue to Cornelia Street for the amount of $1,156,000. And I so move, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Neal. I need a seconder. Councillor Harland. Any further discussion, Council? Not seeing any. We'll go for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Contrary minded? Carried. Mr. Spear, I think I missed, I'm having a rough night tonight. I missed the recommendation about Minister's Island Documentary Media Project. My package doesn't have, sorry. Mine doesn't seem to have all the pages tonight. Okay, so, Ms. Councillor Needs. Okay, so the next one is Public Works and Safety Committee, Councillor Neal, PWPS 250913.
Thank you again, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Once again, this is reference number PWPS 250913, and the subject is the Town of St. Andrews 2024-03 Wharf Refurbishment Project. And the background reads, on September 10th, 2025, tender TSA 2024-03 Wharf Refurbishment Project closed with the following proponents. Caldwell and Ross Limited for an amount of $9,459,210. Dexter Construction Company with a bid of $12,137,755.50. Greystone Infrastructure, Inc. for the amount of $12,295,138.75. Fundy Contractors Limited in the amount of $13,454,656.15. Greenfield Construction Limited in the amount of $13,505,568.79. And Valley Structures in the amount of $17,715,750. Including the additional costs like engineering, the offsetting project, and further work to surface the market square that should be, the project could be more than $500,000 over budget. Within the staff report, it is explained that there are sufficient funds available in the General Capital Reserve Fund to cover the shortfall, but that there are competing interests for those funds as many of our current assets need refurbishment or replacement. So Council now needs to decide whether to proceed with the project or to cancel the tender based on the financial project costs. So the motion before us reads that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews move to cancel tender TSA 2024-03 wharf refurbishment as all bids are over budget, and I so move.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Neal. Okay, thank you, thank you. We need a seconder. Councillor Weir. Okay, any further discussion, Council? Seeing none. Yes, Councillor Weir? Councillor Weir first, sorry.
Yes, I'd like to make a few comments, and I think it may summarize why the motion went as it did. These contract amounts are estimates at best. It's not a fixed price contract. The contract amount is based on supply and installation of material and infrastructure based on the estimated quantities provided by the engineers. The actual amounts will be different, and the amounts may be significantly different. As an example, we had a contract to remove overburden and place gravel on one portion of the trail. We had a price, 60-odd thousand. Once the materials were in place, I think the price had gone up by almost 50%. Basically, the quantities had been underestimated. No one seemed overly concerned since another level of government was paying. My personal belief, and this is purely my personal belief, is that we must act in a fiscally responsible manner regardless of who is footing the bill. That is my definition of good management. To believe that a contractor can plan and mobilize for a contract of this size in 30 days is overly optimistic. I doubt if any of these companies have the equipment ready to start fully mobilizing in the next few weeks. Another issue is change orders. Depending on the quality and completeness of the contract, there will be change orders during performance of the contract. It's extremely rare that a change order reduces the cost. There will be cost increases. Again, these cost increases may be significant. I have not attempted to even guess at the wear and reduced life of town streets from trucking this many tons of material. I was hoping to see a proposal to bring the stone in by barge to mitigate these costs. The tenders have given us a better understanding of the cost of this project, but in no way have they provided a reasonable estimate of the cost. I wasn't briefed on this project when I came on council, January 2023. Picked up information as I went along. The more I learned, the more pessimistic I became. A few of us at the table have extensive experience with contracts and contractors. I know Councillor Neal, Councillor Blanchard have been involved in some. Councillor Bennett, when he was with the Armed Forces, had a budget of $18 million a year that he administered in capital expenditures. So this is not our first rodeo. I even have experience with marine infrastructure, which is wharves. So, you know, it's something that we know about. So I voted to go to tender, fully expecting the results we got. But it was the only way to bring it to a head. But now I can vote no, in knowing deep inside that I'm doing the right thing, no questions, no indecision of any type. The cost is going to be substantial.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Weir. Anybody else? Councillor Harlan?
So a question for Mr. Spear. So what we are privy to is simply the totals for the projects that were submitted, correct? So to Councillor Weir's point, did any of the proponents suggest bringing the rock by barge?
I guess the only way I could answer that is the unit price is for the rock. We don't care how they get it here, barge, helicopter, truck. Obviously, ground transportation is going to be the least expensive. So I'd assume that, but there's no instructions within the tender that they had to bring it by barge.
Okay, and can I ask a second question, please? So to Councillor Weir's point, which I think is a very important point, we have seen over the last couple of years definitely projects requiring increases in their budget because of cost overrun. So in the tendering process, this is not my bailiwick, so I need to understand it fully. When a company puts in a bid and says they're bringing it in at 9 million plus, are they held at that?
No, again, it's unit price, so it's completely based on the amount of quantities come in. And so if they bring in less, we pay them less. If they bring in more, we pay them more. We're just relying, and it's a common method of engineering. And it's, that's just the way we've done all of our projects.
Okay.
There's other ways to do them. I'm not doubting that, but that was kind of the way we've always proceeded with all our projects over the past.
Okay. And so my concern is that we have what seems to be a significantly lower bid, and the remaining bids or the middle bids are between 12 million and 13.5, which would cause me to fear that the low bid is too low. But there's no way to know that.
Well, I guess it goes back to the credibility of the low bid, that they have to hold that. It's a contractual obligation. So let's say it's a perfect world and all the quantities match. They have to honor that low bid. And even within the tender documents, there is a thing called contingencies for unforeseen things. And I should have looked it up, but it's somewhere between $700,000 and $1 million in this project, I think around 700,000, where they don't get it automatically. That's just a buffer within the price that if something goes awry, that the council's already have a bit of that worked in. And again, that's common with all our things. Just as such a high value project, the number is quite high.
But a contingency of 700,000 minimum. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Thank you, Councillor Harlan. Any other comments? Councillor Heenan.
Yes, Your Worship. Thank you. I just had a couple of points. First off, I would like to say that to the public that this wharf project was introduced in last council. So this project has been the burden of us for 5 years because it came from the council previous to us. So I just want the public to know that it has been 7 years in the making. This has not all of a sudden happened. This happened in last council, and it never, there's minutes for it. If you wish to go back, you can see it. So there's minutes for it. This council has inherited this issue from the last council. And I just feel that I'm very fiscally responsible. I, like Councillor Weir, went for the yes vote to get it to tender because I wanted to see where it sat. Doesn't mean, I've said it many a times on, very openly, that I will not be bullied. And my decision was made for the best betterment of the town. I realize that it's come in overbid, and that I expected, but I just wanted everyone to know that the reason that I would vote this down is because of the financial responsibility that I do have to the town, not because of any bullying by email, by any other type. And as I said, the thing that you have to realize is you have to realize that this was brought in last council. And I will give you another personal example. Deer Island, they put a wharf in. They didn't even do any public consultation. They tore out the wharf and put it in without any consultation to any of the public. They just did it. So we are very honored and pleased that we have a council that had open sessions, that had a chance for feedback, that did everything according to plan. And so it's been a long 7 years, and it's still not finished, but at least we know how much it's going to cost. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Heenan. Anyone else? Okay, we need to go for the question.
Excuse me, Your Worship.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Gomichelle, I didn't see your hand up.
Thank you, Your Worship. I wrote down my notes rather than going off the cuff. I reiterate, thank Councillor Weir for his comments about the possibility of this going over budget. That's certainly a worry for a project that we can't really afford in the first place. So just from my notes, I'll read. If there was no chance to pump the brakes on this project, I would wholeheartedly support awarding the tender at this time. However, given the information that the deadline for the federal funding is not a hard deadline, I think we can hold off on awarding the tender and revisit some of the design phase. I'm sorry, and revisit some of the design phase based on the significant public pushback. I'll read that again. I think we can hold off on awarding the tender and revisit some of the design phase based on the significant public pushback. It's a mouthful. We were going to do... I'm not sure it's a call for applause. We were going to do the visioning exercise for what the wharf would look, the wharf and the town square would look like after the project was done, when we should have started with the visioning exercise. In the meantime, so that was a bit of a mistake, but in the meantime, if the wharf falls into the sea, please know that I did everything I could to quickly and efficiently rebuild the approach to the wharf with a new structure rather than trying to patchwork something we really can't afford to do in the first place. With all the delays, we just ran out of time. And I'll add that in my 10 years on council, I have always tried to be open, transparent, and do what is best for our community. I will continue to do this, and I encourage respectful discussion as we work together for this community we love and the citizens and its future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Gumichel. And I noticed, sorry, Councillor Blanchard, I missed your hand because I was looking around the room.
Thank you, Your Worship. Probably not much more than what's already been said in terms of the overall cost of this project and the unlikelihood that this would come in, I think, anywhere close to the low bid. I think the average for the others is 13.78 million, which probably puts us closer to the real price, which means about 4 million roughly over and above where we would want this to be. So I think out of reach in terms of our budget right now. But again, as some others have said, I think what this really lays out is the challenge this community is going to face in the future with this wharf. When this burned back in 95, 94, 95, was rebuilt in 95, 96, and the town took it over after the federal government rebuilt it. That has saddled this community with a major white elephant, a major debt. And now we are starting to see, under the current design, 25 to 30 years later, we're starting to see the effects of something that was rebuilt, for the most part, back in about 96. And with the current existing design, unless there are some serious things done to it, we will continue to have this issue every 25 to 30 years. And it's not just about the upfront costs. And I think from my perspective, what I think was lost in the public debate and discourse and the information that was being shared online and across town and on patios and restaurants for the last year and a half, because we've all been hearing and been talking about it, well, especially in the last 6 months or so. What I feel like has been lost is the cost over the life expectancy of whatever design or whatever, whether it's a repair or what was the hybrid model here. It's the life of that particular design. I think that's the piece, I think, in my mind, that's where we kind of lost sight of the goal line a little bit, because there was talk about the costs themselves. They were all very similar, but it was the long-term costs and having to revisit this, to simply repair the structure. We're going to have to revisit this in probably another 25-ish, 30 years, where some of the other designs you wouldn't have to revisit it for maybe 35, 40, maybe 50 years. That is the true cost of these projects. And that's something I think we have to really think about. And that is going to be the challenge. This is not going to be an easy thing. And this is going to be something that the town is saddled with for a long, long time because of that decision many years ago to take over the wharf from the federal government. It is going to be a real challenge. And as we can all see from these bids, this is an expensive proposition and something that is going to be difficult for a community of our size to maintain. It'll be interesting. And again, in the current iteration with the current costs, I can't support it going forward, but people should understand the true cost of this and how difficult it is going to be to maintain what we have.
Thank you, Councillor Blanchard. Anybody else? Mr. Spear.
Thank you. I just want to reiterate what Councillor Blanchard has said. The fact of the matter is, folks, I know the design became the key element, but part of the problem was the wharf is in bad shape. There's no doubt about it, at least the approach. So the two parts that are in bad shape, the approach have some serious issues because it's this serious wood design, and the end steel is deteriorating and needs to be done as well. So even though this is likely going to defeat tonight, it doesn't make the problem go away, and so council will have to get on it and try to figure out, because there's probably some repairs that are going to have to be done next year to keep it as at least a driving wharf, because the last report was 3 or 4 years ago, because we were under the impression we'd probably have this project completed by now. So, you know, council may not accept the tender, but it doesn't mean we have to stop giving up on the wharf, that there's still a lot of work to do over the next few months, especially during budget, to try to determine what next steps are and what we can do to hold that facility together.
Thank you, Mr. Spear. Councillor, Deputy Mayor Neil.
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. Again, most of the points I was going to make, I think, have been already said from my fellow councillors. But I do want to point out again, like, the two factors that really drove this, in my opinion, again, were the fact that we had a funding deadline, or we thought we had a funding deadline. And the other one was the timeline for this. Again, that we wanted to get this construction done prior to the next summer season. Again, so that we don't have any impact on the summer, on the tour operators, the fishermen, whatnot. So again, over the last couple of weeks, what we found out, like I said, the funding deadline is no longer an issue. And realistically, as Councillor Weir pointed out, the timeline was getting way too tight to begin with. So this project, had it gone ahead, was still going to run well past its deadline, in my opinion. So once we remove those, again, I'm looking at this as possibly an opportunity where, yes, this has been going on for a god-awful amount of time, but we have the opportunity once again to maybe look at how we can, again, break this project down perhaps. Perhaps it's done in phases. The funding, again, it's not disappearing. We still have access to it. Maybe we can find more creative ways. Again, maybe it's another design, I don't know, but it's still there and it's still something that we can utilize. And we give ourselves time to possibly find more funding. Clearly, this is going to be an expensive undertaking, whatever we do. So again, perhaps additional funding is something we need to go out and source. So at the end of the day, again, I mean, my opinion has been very clear. I haven't supported the design from day one. But at this stage, again, with the cost, and again, I think it was pointed out, I think with the unit pricing, it's pretty safe to assume that the actual cost of this project is more 12 to 13 million. So again, that's something that we're going to have to talk about as a council. And the last thing I'll say, again, just for the public, is that in no way are we walking away from refurbishing or repairing or replacing this wharf. We all know what an economic driver it is for the town, how important it is for the town. And I'll speak for myself, but I mean, I will continue to do whatever we can to get that replaced and open and usable for as long as possible. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Acting Deputy Mayor Neil. Anybody else? I guess I am not allowed to comment, but I would like to thank my council for working so diligently on this. They have worked very hard. I know some people do not think they have, but we've gone to a lot of meetings, done a lot of investigations, spent a lot of time. So we will continue to do this. As Deputy Mayor Neil says, we are working for your best interest and for the wharf to be a part of our community. It's a historic part of our community we don't want to see go away. So we will be working on that, and we will need your input. We will need your collaboration to work with the council that you have, be it us or be it the next council in 2026. But we will need to work together to make this a complete project. Thank you, and thank you for turning out tonight. I really appreciate it. And now we will go to the vote. All those in favor? Aye. And contrary-minded? It is carried unanimously. All right, carrying on. Economic Development, Business and Culture Committee, Councillor Weir.
Your Worship, maybe we take a 3-minute recess, because I think 90% of the people here were waiting for that decision. So instead of trying to talk over them, we'll let them get a couple of minutes to get out of Dodge.
We will take a 3-minute recess, and we will come back. Thank you.
You have to do it by motion.
Oh, can we have a motion? I need a mover. Councillor, Deputy Mayor Neal, and a seconder, Councillor Heenan. All those in favor, aye. Aye. Contrary-minded, carried. Okay, everybody's back. We're going to start. I need a motion to return back to council. Councillor, Deputy Mayor.
Your Worship, I'll make a motion to bring back council.
Councillor, Deputy Mayor Neal, did you can second it?
I'll second it.
Okay, second it. And all those in favor? Contrary-minded? We are back in session. And so that being so, we are on page, I just got to get to the right, 30. Thank you, Mr. Councillor Heenan. Okay, page 30. Oh, it worked. Okay, page 30. Economic Development, Business and Culture Committee, Councillors Weir, on request from St. Andrews Brewing Company for Oktoberfest 2025. It's all yours, Councillor Weir.
Thank you, Your Worship. Reference number EBC 250907. Request from St. Andrews Brewing Company for Oktoberfest 2025. The annual Oktoberfest celebration is set for September 20th and 21st in Market Square. They're requesting some town resources as well as use of Market Square. With the growth of the paddling club event, the town will be stretched for resources this year to supply the full requests of both events. However, we ask council to grant the other requests, and staff will assist the event organizers to help with the logistics for the event. So the motion reads that the Council of the Town of St. Andrews approves the use of Market Square and associated requests from Friday, September 19th, 2025 to Sunday, September 21st, 2025 for the 4th annual Oktoberfest celebrations by the St. Andrews Brewing Company. I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Weir. Councillor Bennett or Councillor Blanchard? Councillor Bennett, second. All right. Any further discussion? Councillor Heenan.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just have a quick query on this. We just received this from Oktoberfest, I do believe, Mr. Spear, 2 weeks ago, the request. I'm just really worried about our town resources. I feel that as the paddling club gets larger, I think that we need to, which I'm very pleased of, by the way, just so everyone knows, I think that we need to address as a council how we can make this work more efficiently for our town staff and our resources, because we can't have picnic tables downtown and moved out to the paddling club all on the same day. So I would just like it to be noted in the minutes that we need to do something to alleviate some of this concern in town resources. Thank you.
Mr. Spears spoke with Huntsman, and they have some tables that can be used, and I'm hoping that there'll be more volunteers. Sorry?
As well as the Kiwanis Campground have both offered tables. I do want to thank both of those organizations who took about 5 minutes to get back to me and say, hey, no problem, if they need them, we'll get them. So it's becoming a bigger community effort to pull this off.
Thank you very much, and thank you to those two organizations. Thank you, Your Worship.
Yes, make sure that your names are on our table so we get them back. Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Okay, if not, then we'll go for the question. All those in favor of the Oktoberfest request, say aye. Aye. Contrary minded? Carried. Okay, so just need to turn the page. And the next one is Economic Business. Councillor Weir again.
Thank you, Your Worship. Reference number EBC 250908, Letter of Support, Ministers Island Documentary Media Project. Patrick Walsh of Fit Frame Productions, based in St. Andrews, is undertaking a project to showcase the rich history and cultural significance of Ministers Island, preserving its legacy for future generations by creating a documentary about it. They are early on in pre-production and are receiving letters of support from the community to assist with acquiring grants and donations to complete this project. At this time, there is no financial request from Council. The motion reads that for the Council of the Town of St. Andrews provides a letter of support for the Ministers Island Documentary Media Project, highlighting the past and current significance that Ministers Island is for this community. I so move.
Thank you, Councillor Weirs. Seconded by Deputy Mayor Neal. Any further comments, Council? Not seeing any. We will call for the question. All those in favor? Aye. And contrary minded? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. All right. So that brings us to your report, I believe, Councillor, Mr. Spear.
No, that's the end of the agenda, Your Worship. We can go to question period at this point.
Okay, thank you very much. Just get on the right page. All right. So, question period. Any questions from the audience? No? Okay. Any questions from online?
Maybe quickly jump to Councillor's comments.
Okay, Councillor's comments and Deputy Mayor's comments. Anybody? Councillor Heenan?
Yes, Your Worship. First, I would like to offer a big thank you to the town staff for setting up this chamber. They did a super job, and I mean, this took a lot of work and time, and I want to say a big thank you. Also, a thank you to CHCO for setting up the technology, doing the reporting, and making sure that this ran smoothly. We do appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, I just want to take a moment to thank some members from the Canadian Coast Guard that were here in town last week, helping to train our new members of the Coast Guard Auxiliary on the new Beskotomagadi search and rescue vessel. Myself and a few other members from the St. Andrews Fire Department had the opportunity to actually go out with them last Wednesday and assist them with some of their training, which went very well. And again, having a first-hand look at the boat now and their crews, I think, again, this will be a great asset for the town. So just wanted to thank them.
Thank you, Councillor Neal. Anybody else? Well, if not, then I will proceed with my comments. We still need bags. I just got a few tonight for the homeless people, not homeless, but for the food bank. Much easier to carry a bag than a box for me, so Please keep those bags rolling in. You can drop them off at the town office. I think probably Mrs. DeWitt's getting tired of me saying they can be dropped off at the office, but that's just a convenient place for me so they're not left out in the rain. The second thing I had is September the 30th is it's our Truth and Reconciliation Day. And we have decided, Judith and I, that we will host it on the 30th. We could host it before, we could host it afterwards, but I think when you have a date set out as that, as Truth and Reconciliation, that we will honor it by having it on the 30th. We are going to do it on Indian Point, as always, as we do. And I want to thank Mervyn for helping me set up for that, and anyone else. Greg Mansfield is coming down with his grandmother drum, and so we will have that. But we will meet, we will remember those who came back from those residential schools and those who did not. So please come out. It's a very solemn event in memory of those that we lost, in memory of those that came back, because there's still a lot of residual pain there, and we'd like to continue it with our Truth and Reconciliation calls to action. There should be posters around the town like this that state National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September the 30th. We ask for goodwill donations so that we can do different things that people have asked myself to do, like beading or whatever, drumming. It takes money to do that with, so it would be appreciated, and that's one of the Truth and Reconciliations, to share the knowledge of the music, the culture, with everyone, and that's what I'd like to see done, our knowledge being shared. So there will be donation boxes set up to assist us with that. So I thank you in advance, but I would like to see everybody there in an orange t-shirt. And if you don't know the reason for wearing an orange t-shirt, please come out and find out. But you should be wearing an orange t-shirt on that day. I wear it beforehand because I want people to know that it is coming up, and that we should be there. So please come out, rain or shine. Judith promises me we have umbrellas so we can't get wet. So I'm hoping for another sunny day like we have today. So please come out, and I thank you, as I say, in advance. And my thank you to CHCO-TV, because Flo is fantastic. So don't you guys ever forget to thank her, because she's wonderful at setting up these things. And I know, Patrick, you're good, but Flo is my favorite. So thank you, Flo. Sorry, Natalie. She rates I've known her for years. What do you mean? I make you cookies, Natalie. Come on. All right. Anyway, I just wanted to thank CHCO again, like Councillor Heenan has said, and I'd like to thank the council for supporting the issues that we've been going through the last little while, especially supporting me because I screwed up tonight with my wrong agenda, and I'm sorry, Mr. Spear, but finally got the right one. But anyway, thank you very much. And now, are you ready yet?
I am, Your Worship, and there's no
You
there's
mean you
no
made
questions.
me go all the way through that, and there's nobody online?
There's no, strangely enough, after the Wharf decision, even the people watching, except for our two councillors, bailed on us. So since we only look at the emails and those that are registered through Zoom, there's no one left or hasn't sent an email requesting a question.
All right, well, then we can get back on track. So we've done the mayor comments. We don't have anything for closed session tonight. So the next thing is adjournment. I need a mover and a seconder. Mover, Deputy Mayor Neal, and a seconder, Councillor Bennett, because we haven't done much on the online. All those in favor? Contrary minded? Better not be. Thank you. It's carried unanimously. Good night. And we're going to clear our deck here in a minute.